Hey there, I am here with Natalie Schlute. She is a manifestation coach and angelic spirit guide channeler. She helps people overcome mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual blocks that are stopping them from creating their dream life by embodying the identity of their future selves and following their intuition. She overcame challenges in every area of her life with depression, drug abuse, trauma, bad relationships, a poor money mindset, and dealing with over 20 years of chronic pain to master healing her mind and body, attracting a soulmate, manifesting a financially successful career, and opening herself up to natural psychic and channeling abilities. Natalie is a founder of Soul Mastery School, where students learn how to master all levels of their lives, including manifestation skills, intuition, love, health, wealth, and channeling their angelic guides. She has coached thousands of students in her manifestation frameworks, including Hollywood actors. She's been featured in Fox, USA Today, and over 500 other news sites. Natalie's influence continues to reach more fans daily, with over 40,000 plus followers across all social media sites and over 500,000 monthly views on her content. Be sure to check out her podcast, the Successful Soul Podcast. Welcome, Natalie. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. Thank you, Wendy.
So glad you're here. Really excited to dive in with you. So many questions for you. Before we start, I'm curious what drove you, inspired you, or fueled like the vision for this business?
I feel like the business that I've created, it's been a lifelong journey. Like it's not one thing that happened. Like I know as a child there were visions. Like I always knew I was going to write a book. And when I was 19, I had this vision of me speaking on stage one day and helping coach people. I had no clue how I was going to do that or what it was going to look like. But I think just my personal journey, struggling so much in so many areas of my life, a lot of health issues, a lot of family trauma and drama that I went through, challenges with relationships and finances, and just finding myself over the years too, a lot of health stuff. It really forced me to look for answers. And so I feel like I've dedicated my entire life to learning, to being
Mm.
like this researcher and understanding more about myself, about my health, and how to excel in all these different areas of my life. I didn't want to just stay where I was, to be in physical pain, mental, emotional, spiritual pain. I really wanted something different. And so I found personal development books and I kind of went that route and had a lot of health issues. So a lot of chronic pain. I was a dancer, so I had a lot of injuries. And in college, I ended up going into sports medicine and really understanding the physical part of how we heal the body. I had a lot of personal trauma that happened in my younger years, and just unhealthy mindset. Like looking back, I was programming my mind as a child for trauma. Like I was reliving in my own mind all of the things that went wrong, the fights in the household. And I
Mm.
was really training my nervous system to be in a bad place, which is probably a big root of a lot of the health and autoimmune things that I've dealt with over the years. And so by the time I was in my teens, I was so depressed and emotional. I was on drugs, doing all these other things. And I just kind of had this aha moment one day where I had, been high for a year straight. I couldn't really remember that much of that year. And I was like and then I started being delusional. Like I didn't know what was reality and what wasn't. And I knew the only thing I could do was just get clean and finally deal with all my own trauma and all my own
Mm.
issues. And when I did that, that was when I felt my angels kind of come in and let me know you're meant for something more. You're meant for something really big. And it's going to take you a while to get there, but this is the journey you're on. And that's kind of how it all started for me. I really did a lot of inner work, a lot of inner healing, learned about the physical body and healing that all through my 20s. By the end of my 20s, I realized, yeah, I can do all the rehab and, physical therapy stuff, but the chronic pain was a lot more. A lot of health things, mindset work. I started getting into life coaching, hypnotherapy, neurolinguistic programming, and really rewiring myself to think differently, to feel differently. Came across manifestation, the law of attraction, got into all of that. And it was just this
Wow.
evolution of who I became. And as I healed more of myself, I opened up more. So I was working as an athletic trainer for entertainment. And when I was working on dancers and performers and kind of healing their body with the physical stuff, I was starting to get psychic impressions. Like I was seeing things inside their bodies. I was feeling their emotions. I was having premonitions of these arguments that they had that was causing this dysregulation in their nervous system. I could hear,
Mm.
some of their limiting beliefs and feel some of that too. And I didn't really know how to deal with it. So as I went the the Western medicine route of healing and then the mental emotional route of healing. Suddenly now I'm in this psychic realm and trying to figure that out. And that was really how I opened up to the whole psychic thing. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, well, if this is happening, this is the next step. I now need to understand this. So then I spent the last decade going down the route of opening up my psychic channels. And I'd always had some experiences of psychic premonitions, psychic knowings here and there, but it was very inconsistent. And I think everyone has the potential and the ability. And I think we all have intuition. I know we all have intuition. Um, but it's about learning how to master that. And so I spent over a decade mastering that skill of becoming a
Yeah.
medium, channeling angels, channeling ancestors, being able to do readings on people and seeing what's going on with their bodies, their auric system, what are they holding on to, past life stuff. And it
Mm.
just kept evolving. So the business that I've created is really a reflection of my journey and all the knowledge and wisdom I have. And I've spent my decades learning about all of these different things. And I wish that I had someone like me when I was a
Yeah.
teenager or in my early 20s that's like, here's all these tools and things that are like the
Mm.
best of the best. These things actually work. You do have to heal your body on a physical level. You do have to work on your mindset. You do have to work on the spiritual healing, the past life, ancestral healing, energy healing. And, all
Yeah.
of these things come into play, the mind, body, soul, and energy. It's all part of what make
Mm-hmm.
us a human and a soul in this physical body, in this reality of time space
Yeah.
we're in. And we need all of those elements, not only to heal and excel, but to truly manifest everything that we desire to have in our life.
Mm-hmm.
So manifestation is kind of this bridge between all of these realms, right?
Yeah.
And I created my business, one, because I was always a natural guide for people. I was always the best friend and the person in the family that everyone went to for advice. And I just came out that way. I came out being like a natural leader, supporter, therapist, guide for people.
Yeah.
And then just the life journey that God put me on in this lifetime in
Mm.
order to learn all of these things, I think was really designed for me so that I could share that with other people. I want so much to give the younger version of myself. Here's the
Mm.
cheat sheet. Here's the quick,
Yeah.
fast way of getting there. I did it the long, hard way. I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on education, on healing, on everything you can
Mm-hmm.
imagine to become the person I am today. And
Yeah.
I want people to have those shortcuts, the quick fix.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's still a journey, right? It's
Yeah.
not like overnight we snap our fingers, but
Yeah.
to be able to share the tools that really
Mhm.
work,
Yeah.
uh, and the frameworks of making sure you're addressing all of the elements in your life that you need, because it's not just one facet. It's not just only mindset work. It's not just
Right.
meditation and visualization. It's not just do this healing cleanse. For
Yep.
everyone, it's a little bit of everything, and the ratios are going to be different
Mm-hmm.
depending on what you're manifesting and healing in your life too. So,
Yeah.
um,
I love how you integrate all these
mhm,
things, and especially I talk about the harmonization of masculine and feminine in your business. And your
mhm,
way of putting that is how to integrate the logical and intuitive mind when
mhm,
making business decisions. So this is a conversation. First of all, thank you for sharing your story, because it's amazing to see, what you had to go through in order to learn all of this. And it's such a big gift to the world, even though it was so difficult and so challenging. I can only imagine,
mhm.
like, and we all have our stories, right? But you to come out of that and to share, to choose to share, um and learn what you need to learn in order to come back to the light, so to speak, and then share that light with others and how they can do the same thing is really incredible. That's a choice, and that's not the
Yeah,
easiest choice. So I just honor you for that. It's really amazing.
thank you.
Um, so the conversations that come up often in my community and with my clients is this: they feel kind of torn between the logic of business and the intuitive side or the feminine side. And you could just different words to say, basically the same thing: masculine, feminine,
Mhm,
intuitive, logic. Because men are also intuitive, and the masculine has an intuition. It's not gender specific, by the way, but the
mhm.
masculine has their own sort of, that side, that energy has intuition and instinct and things like that. So when someone is coming upon a decision, a business decision, whether that is the next program they're going to offer, the next offer, the next course or project in their business, and they're torn between, I have this intuitive hit this direction, but logically it really doesn't make sense. How do you teach your students to integrate the two?
There's a couple layers to this. So first and foremost, I truly believe in bridging both hemispheres of the brain because we have the logical left side and then we have that creative right side of the brain. Again, the
Mhm.
masculine and the feminine energy. It's also that same polarity with how our brain works. And then our pineal gland sits right in the center, bridging the two together.
Yeah.
So, I'm not just a woo woo everything intuition, but I'm also not just everything has to be logical either. I really believe that we need to blend the two in order to get the best answers and the
Mhm.
best, make the best decisions for ourselves and our businesses moving forward too. I also find it very easy sometimes for people to think their intuition is actually just, it's an emotional hit. Um,
Yeah,
to
that was
think,
another question I had for you. We definitely have to get to
yeah.
that, like how you discern what your intuition is,
So
actually.
I want to touch on that first before we get to like
Okay.
making the actual decision because that's a really big misconception. I think a lot of people think, oh, our emotions are our intuition, and that's just not necessarily true.
No,
In
often
fact,
it's not.
most people, the majority of their emotions are subconscious programming. It's what
Yes.
they've been through in their lifetimes. It's their fears, it's their worries, it's their doubts, or it's things that they're biased towards, right? And so
Yes.
you get an emotional hit, it's often something that just excites you. And it may
Hmm.
not actually be coming from a logical standpoint. And it may not even be coming from your intuition either. It's just something that sounds like shiny, right? Like
Right.
that's the sparkly light that you're like, oh, I want that.
Yeah.
And so we have to be a little careful of that too. And I'm not saying that every emotional decision is that, but it very well can be. And so part of the process is really discovering one, first, do the logical work, like sit down and journal out what are all my biases? Like, what am I
Mm.
really like? If it was my choice and I can manifest anything, that million or billion dollar business, and I want it to look this way, and we kind of get stuck in how we visualize it. These are my biases. This is how I see it going. It's how I want it to go, or it's how I've seen other people do it. Therefore, I think that's how it's going to work for me. What are you kind of rigid in your thinking about? Um,
Mm.
and then also making sure you're getting really logical. Like, do your research. Do your research on whatever business decision you're going to make. Look at what other people are doing. Let's look what's working, look what's not. um,
Right.
get really into that logical side first because your
Hmm.
brain actually will work better if it has as many answers and as much research as possible. I'm very much a researcher, and yes, I also go into the spiritual world and tap into, the Akashic records and healings and past lives and all that kind of stuff, which is
Mm.
intangible. But I'm very, very big on research because a lot of even the spiritual stuff, it's being proven now. We have so much research
Yeah.
with brainwave frequencies and
It's amazing. Yeah.
all this stuff that
And
proves
energy and
psychic
auras and
is a
like
thing. Yeah,
proven. Yeah.
there's just a lot of that out there now too. So a lot of that's being proven. But the more you can do the groundwork on the logical part, it will really help you then make a better intuitive decision. So I would
Yeah.
say make your pro con list, do your research, and figure out what your biases are. And then you
Hmm.
really have to then practice. This is where the intuitive part comes in. Now you have to let it all go. You
Right.
you have to sit down and completely release and surrender to the universe. Get yourself into a deep meditative state and let go of your biases. Let go of what you
Hmm.
want the outcome to be, and fully trust that God, the universe, angels, whoever you want to call on. For me, it's all the same. Like, God is the creation of all energy and
Hmm.
permeates through all time, space, reality of this quantum field that we live in. But with that comes a lot of guides and ancestors and angels that can come in and help bridge that communication for us. And so if you can completely release, get into that deep meditative state where your brainwave frequencies go into alpha theta brainwave state, where we're no longer in
Hmm.
the beta, like logical thinking brain that we're in, and you're able to fully let go and just
Yeah.
trust, 100% trust that whatever comes through for you is going to be for your highest and best good.
Hmm.
And it's not, and letting go of what you think it should be or want it to be, and just get to that point, then usually you can pull in an answer.
Yeah.
But you have to let go enough. You have to get rid of those biases enough. And in order for your mind not to like manipulate the information, the more pro cons, the more research you have, the easier it is for your subconscious and your higher self soul to kind of find that answer for you.
Hmm.
Otherwise, if you don't do any of that research, if you don't do the pro con list, if you don't know your biases, it's going to be a biased answer that comes through intuitively. You think it's your intuition, but it's actually some sort of subconscious bias that's going to come through for you.
Right.
And then when your intuition does come through, it looks very different for everybody. You know, we
Mhm.
all have different intuitive abilities. We all channel our intuition slightly differently. Some of us can channel through all of our clair senses, and some of us have one or two that are stronger than the others. So it can come through as clair empath. A lot of people say empath, but clair empath is clear emotions. So you might just feel the answer. Like this one
Mhm.
feels more resonant than that one. And it may not be the logical choice, or it might. You don't know. Clairsentience is a physical sensation. So it's actually separate. A lot of people kind of combine the two and say, you know, our empath ability is the same as clairsentience, but a physical sensation can be completely separate from an emotion. We can have chills coming down our back. We can have a hot or a cold feeling throughout our body. Pins and
Mhm.
needles, tingling. Those sensations don't necessarily have an emotion attached to it, although they can, and that you can be experiencing both. Some people get a vision, right? And that's going to be
Mhm.
our clairvoyance. Some people hear the answer. It may sound like their own voice, but that can come through subtly, and that's going to be clairaudience. And then there's claircognizance, where there's just this knowing. Oh, that's the answer. I know it's the answer. I just don't know why I know it. And
Yeah.
that's really just your subconscious and your soul coming together, piecing all of that
Mhm.
information and finding the
Yeah.
highest and best choice for you. So being aware that often these answers come in a variety of ways, and especially with the clairvoyance, sometimes it can be an obvious picture of, oh, this is the business I'm creating, or this is the choice I'm heading towards. It might also be a symbol, something that's a little more abstract, right? A picture is
Mhm.
worth 1,000 words, and it might not be literal. You might have to do a little bit of research, or sit and meditate with that symbol that came through and figure out, what does that mean for me? Because everyone has their own language, their soul
Right.
language that resonates with the guides and angels that are coming through and kind of feeding them the answers.
Mhm.
So sometimes there's a little bit of, I don't know if I want to say research, but a learning curve if you're the type of
Yeah.
clairvoyant person that receives symbolic images.
I'm really glad you broke out the different ways that intuition can come in.
Mm-hmm.
That really helps, I think, to really tune in and begin to notice,
Mm-hmm.
these different ways that it can be coming in, which to me does sound separate and distinct from emotion. And then also that first step is actually getting, journaling out where my biases are, where you might be conditioned to go a certain direction, fears, you know, things you've inherited, like
Mm-hmm.
thought patterns you've inherited, all of that needs to be kind of fleshed out before you actually tune into your intuition. Yeah, that's really, really good. And
Exactly.
that's how we balance. I'm asking that. I mean, that is when you talk about balancing logic and action and intuition, that's
Mhm.
how we do that, right? That's the
That's how
process.
I make decisions. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's how I teach how to make decisions too, because we want to do all that logical research, the biases, the pro cons, all of that, because that's the logical side. We have to do that first, and then we have to surrender and really tap into what our intuition is telling us is the actual next step. Because the intuition is always going to come through if it is clear intuition, right? If the bias is not there, then your intuition is always going to know more than
Yeah.
you know. That's your
Right.
soul. Your soul's had many lifetimes. Your soul can see through all time, space, reality, and it will know the highest and best decision for you. With
Hmm.
that said, sometimes, and this is where people get a little confused about manifestation too, you may make that decision and it may not turn out the way you think it's going to. It may still feel like a flop or a failure, but perhaps you were meant to experience that choice
Yes.
in your business to learn
Yeah.
these other 25 lessons so that you can get to your bigger goal
Yes.
and become the
Yes.
person you need to be. So that's also the caveat with these things is things are
Hmm.
always happening for us. And
Right.
even if we make a decision that feels really good, and then there's like something that just, wow, that didn't turn out how I thought it was, but I thought my intuition was guiding me, it probably still was. It
Right.
probably still was the best choice for you because you
Right.
needed that.
Yeah, in my experience, when we make declarations to the universe, to God, to source, to
Mhm.
our spirit team, when we make declarations and we say, I want to create this, I want to do this, I have this vision, I want to fulfill, the universe says, okay, you're going to need to do these things or overcome these things or learn these things in order to achieve that. And so it's it would be nice if we declared something we want and it was just this easy, smooth, no problem path. Like, boom, here it is in your life the next day. But typically it isn't. Like the twists and turns, the ups and downs are part of us getting there. So I
Mhm.
love that you bring that's a very important caveat. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean your intuition was wrong. It's just something you needed to go through to reach the destination.
Exactly. And that's one of those manifestation myths. I think that we feel like, oh, if I'm good at manifesting, it means my life is going to go perfectly. Like things are
Yeah.
just going to line up. I'm going to have all these dominoes and the blocks are going to be perfectly spaced and no one's ever going to tip over the dominoes. Like we think that's how it's going to be. And
Yeah.
we did not come to planet Earth to have this picture perfect experience. We came here for the struggle. We came here for the lessons. We also came here to overcome those things and to be empowered and to have that like grit and that
Yeah.
experience so that we can become the best version of ourselves. Like you already heard my life story. I could not be the person I am today if I had it easy. I would
Yeah.
not have created Soul Mastery School. I would not be doing the work. I would not be coaching if my life was easy peasy the whole time. If I didn't have
Right.
struggles, trauma, overcome addiction, if I didn't have all of these problems that I overcame, I wouldn't care about coaching other people. I also
Right.
wouldn't resonate or like have any empathy for people. I wouldn't understand what others have gone through if I had not had such intense hardships in my own
Right.
life. And so I'm grateful for the challenging journey that I have had because it has
Hmm.
made me who I am and has made
Yeah.
me learn and grow and expand and become the leader that I am today. And
Hmm.
without all of that, I wouldn't be here.
I could say the same thing for sure. Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of beauty that comes through those extremely challenging times, even though we wouldn't wish that on someone and we wouldn't have asked for it.
Exactly.
We can pull that gold out of that. Yeah. So speaking of manifestation myths, I want to hear all your myth busting on the top manifestation myths because we have a savvy audience who they've been doing it all. They've been doing the visualizing and the affirmations and the I need to feel it before I get it kind of thing. So, what is your opinion? You've already mentioned one. Any other myths that you want to bust about manifesting?
Yeah, some of the big ones that I see is people manifesting really specific things and neglecting the fact that everything in our life is a manifestation. Like, oh, I'm
That's true.
manifesting this like this car or this money or this soulmate, and they're not realizing that manifestation is not about just bringing one object or one tangible material thing in your life. Manifestation is what you exude. It's on 24/7.
Yeah.
It's the universe responding to your frequency, your energy, your emotions, your thought, your state of being. It's like it's responding to your soul,
Right.
who you're showing up as a human
Mm.
every single day, day in and day out.
Right.
And so everything in our life, in some way, shape, or form, is a manifestation. It is a creation of this. But with that said, some people then go on the other extreme of like, oh my God, I manifested this thing. And they start getting really nitpicky and hard on themselves. That perfectionist comes out and like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I manifested all these negative things. My boyfriend broke up with me and this happened and this happened. And then it starts to become this blame game of like, I'm
Yeah.
not perfect enough. So we want to be
Mhm.
careful of that too, because I personally believe, and this is my philosophy on manifestation. I don't know how other people teach it, but I do believe we come into each life with some really big milestones of things that we want to learn. I
Mm.
do believe that there is karma that can cross over from one lifetime to another, ancestral lineage, generational
Mm.
things that we carry on from our parents, our grandparents, their grandparents, whether it's belief systems, frequencies, energies, emotions, trauma that we're
Mhm.
holding on to that we don't even realize is in us. And sometimes we're working through some of those things. So some of the things that come up in our life, it's like, what did I do wrong? How did I manifest this horrible accident or this job loss or this relationship falling apart? And it's like, you know what? Maybe it was always going to be there. Maybe
Mm.
it was. Maybe it was, again, something you chose, you wanted to learn and experience in this lifetime. And it was just the end of that chapter. It could have been something you were working through from an ancestral lineage. It could have been karma you were releasing from something else. And sometimes we need to just not be so hard on ourselves when it comes to
Yeah.
manifesting
Mhm.
and let it go. Or, watching our friends manifest things and like, oh my God, they just wrote these affirmations out 50 times a day and they got what they wanted. And I've been doing it for a year and it's not happening.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot more to manifesting than just writing out your affirmation
Right.
or visualizing it in one specific way. When you
Uh-huh.
do that, there's this expectation that manifesting is like this magic trick. And I mean, yeah, it can feel like magic, but it's so much more than just that.
Mhm.
Affirmations help. I use them. Visualization helps. I use that too. I teach these things, but it's just one tool in the
Take one
toolbox.
piece of it. Mhm.
Yeah, for you becoming the version of yourself that shows up as
Yeah.
one who is already received. And that can, there's a lot of lessons that you might need to improve your communication, your self-talk, your belief systems about yourself. There might be some really physical things that you have to go through in life in order to be able to handle what you want on your
Mhm.
plate. You want to be a millionaire and you're only making $50,000 a year, like there's a lot that goes into that, and you're going to have to get really savvy. You're going to need to be with your, your budgeting, bookkeeping every week, and really
Right.
learn some new
And
skills
that's where you're
to
aligning
be
your
able to handle that.
actions. This is the action step that's integral to this process, right?
Exactly.
And
Yeah, the
that's probably what
action is
you
a big part. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and aligning your actions to what you say you want,
Mm-hmm.
right? These are working together.
Exactly. I mean, and that's the part of it that I think sometimes not everyone teaches. The good manifestation coaches do, but we have to be very aware of how are we physically showing up. Like, are we taking actions towards our goals, and are we going off the deep end and hustling so hard that we're burning ourselves out too, and not listening to our intuition and our bodies? Like, there's always that ebb and flow and that
Yeah.
balance. There's cycles and seasons. There's definitely seasons
Mhm.
to hustle and be in flow and get a lot of work done, and then there's also seasons where we need to recover and we need to honor and listen to that and find that balance, because yeah, we want to manifest a lot of big things in our businesses and otherwise, but we also want to enjoy our quality of life along the way and experience the
Yes.
beautiful journey as we reach all of those goals.
Yeah. What do you think is the biggest key component? Like if you were to drop any of these manifestation practices that most of us know about, which
Mm-hmm.
one is the least effective to focus on?
um it's funny. I was trying not to think. I was like, there's so many. What's coming through really strong is actually affirmations. That's what I'm actually hearing
Yeah.
in my head. And I think the reason for that is it's more than just a sentence. It's more than just a word. Um, you can go a lot further with internal dialogue, with having
Mhm.
conversations with yourself,
I could see
talking to
that.
your subconscious mind, looking at the stories you've been telling yourself and choosing to tell a different story, choosing to get some
Mhm.
leverage on yourself and shifting it. Um, our subconscious really works in pictures, colors, emotions, more than the literal text. And affirmations, I mean, even when we're talking and you're sending someone a text or an email, that's less than 7% of our communication ability is the written word. The other over 90% is our voice tone, it's our energy, our body language, mannerisms, all of that. And that's just how
Yeah.
we communicate with one another. So think how much more
Mm.
robust your subconscious programming is than just the physical words of affirmation.
Right.
Yes, the words help and we do need the language, but
Mhm.
I've actually gotten over the years a lot deeper into somatic therapy, like
Mhm.
moving energy through the body. Like if you're angry, you
Oh,
need to
yeah.
like, put on some angry music and shake
Yeah.
your body. You need to punch a pillow and scream. And that's actually going to move your energy
Yes.
faster and help
Yes.
you process things faster out of your body than just
Mhm.
telling yourself, I don't need to be angry
And
about this.
just slapping on an affirmation.
That
Yeah.
affirmation, right? There's a
Yeah.
lot that we can do with energy work, physical
Mhm.
movement,
Yeah.
visualizing and feeling things. Like we really have to feel it on a deep level. And you can read an affirmation, say it, see it with emotion. But a lot of times I find people, they just kind of say it blankly and they don't realize like there has to be something so much deeper happening,
Right.
a movement
Right.
of energy. And that's not necessarily a given when we're
Mhm.
talking about affirmations. It can be a part
Yeah.
of it. And if you're doing it well, it will be a part of it. It
Mhm.
has to, but it's not always a given.
I love that. I love that. So, and it's not overriding the subconscious programming either, by the way. So you could
Exactly.
say
Yeah.
affirmations over and over and over and over and over, but if your subconscious programming is in complete opposition to that, that
Mm.
affirmation will never work.
Yep.
So we're focusing on that, which I know is also an aspect of the work you do and the work I do too. I mean, this is what's so beautiful about what you put together. It's so holistic. And I know because you went through some healing, you had chronic pain, you went through some healing, you're also connected to the body, you understand the, you know, how energy works in the body, and moving that energy moves your frequency, shifts your frequency. It's so important. Yeah, I love it. So I think you recently, like, you have a book coming out, right?
I do, yes. So I have my first book coming out, Manifest with Your Higher Wisdom. And I'm
Yeah.
really excited about this. You know, it's one of those things that's been on my mind for so many years, and I'm excited to just make more and more books. But I really designed it kind of like I designed my online courses, where the first half of the book is education. You're really going to learn a little bit about the basics of manifestation, the basics of intuition, and what that transformation journey looks like, and all the pieces and components that need to go into that. And then the second half is a 30-day transformation journal experience. So you,
Mm,
day by day, the first 10 days is deep questions, like really digging into what you want, how to get there, and kind of attacking your transformation from all these different points, like the somatic work,
yeah.
the mindset work, the intuition work, and so forth. And then it's just working on those goals for the rest of the 30 days. And what I love about what I've created in this book is I also created a meditation album that goes with it for subconscious
Mm,
reprogramming. There's subliminal guides in there, meditations that you can do, meditations that will unlock experiences to help you visualize better. And I will
mm.
also be releasing in the new year like a 30-day of YouTube videos to go with it. So I know some people
Nice.
are visual,
Yeah.
auditory, and
You
kinesthetic
got
learners.
it all. You got it
So
all for everyone.
yeah, so I tried to
Fantastic.
do my best to really create a holistic experience with this book so that it's not
Right.
just a book. It's more than that. And it'll have something in there for
Mm,
everyone. It'll touch on all these points so that people have
mhm.
a really clear experience of how to start transforming more than just, oh, I'm going to, again, the like 555 method or the 365
Right.
that I was talking about. Oh, again, I'm just writing these affirmations this many times.
Yeah.
It's again, it's not a magic trick. It's not like a quick card trick. This is true inner transformation. And you, all of these levels ideally need to be in there for mastery for the long term.
Right. Yeah. So again, that's manifest with your higher wisdom.
Yes.
Look for that where you can buy books.
Mm-hmm.
And to get into Natalie's world and hear more about her book and other things, you have a free gift for our audience. It's a free manifestation and metaphysical download library. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I created this. It's again, it's similar to an online course, but all of the free downloads that I've created over the last decade, there's workbooks, there's a lot of guides just on all of the clair, intuitive senses, on manifesting. I have a bunch of free guided meditations in there. There's affirmation screensavers and a lot of
Oh,
fun goodies
nice.
in there. I put it all in one place, which is makes it really easy. So you don't
Yeah.
have to search all over online to find all the freebies that I have out there. They're all sitting in one place. So you get a lot of it's just a big goodie bag,
That's
basically.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for that's so generous. Thank you so much. So you can click the link below to get Natalie's free manifestation and metaphysical download library and just get in her world and learn more from her. Do you have any final words of wisdom for us today?
Uh, just, start to tap into your intuition a little bit every day. That was really where I started. I knew intuition was the key to finding the highest and best path for my life, and I really do believe that's what everyone needs is a little more of that intuitive ability. So spend a
Mm,
little bit of quiet time with yourself, even if it's just 3 to 5 minutes a day. Just tap into your body, tap into your breath, find some word that inspires you to help you feel calm, happy, connected in that faith, that divine
mm,
guidance, and just notice, just observe. You don't even have to ask anything in the beginning, but just sit with yourself. I think sometimes, especially nowadays, we're in such this hyperactive, like taking in too much information.
yeah.
Our nervous systems are fried, our brains are fried. We're in
Yeah.
information overload, and in
Hmm.
order to really connect with yourself, you do need to slow down a little bit more.
Yes.
Sometimes you just need like sit on the couch for 20 minutes. No
That's a
music, no
very good piece of advice.
just sit and just be. Like let yourself be a little bit more. And I think you'll
Hmm.
find a lot more clarity through that practice of stillness
Hmm.
and presence. like being
Yeah.
really present. And the more you can get back to that authenticity of who we are as human beings, the more all of the answers, whether business, otherwise manifestation, it's going to be so much easier to tap into and then recognize when it's there as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you so much for that.
You're
Very,
welcome.
very wise. Wise advice to close us out. And thanks everyone for joining us today. We loved being with you, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.